Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is The Power of Now, a guide to spiritual enlightenment, chapter 4, and again by Eckhart Tolle. Chapter 4, it talks about mind strategies for avoiding the now. Loss of now, the core delusion. Even if I completely accept that ultimately time is an illusion, what difference is that going to make in my life? I still have to live in a world that is completely dominated by time. Intellectual agreement is just another belief and won't make much difference to your life. To realize this truth, you need to live it. When every cell of your body is so present that it feels vibrant without life, and when you can feel that life every moment as the joy of being, then it can be said that you are free of time. But I still have to pay the bills tomorrow, and I'm going to grow old and die like everyone else. So how can I ever say that I am free of time? Tomorrow's bills are not the problem. The delusion of the physical body is not a problem. Loss of now is the problem, or rather the core delusion that turns a mere situation, event, or emotion into a personal problem, and not into suffering. Loss of now is loss of being. To be free of time is to be free of a psychological need of past for your identity, and future for your fulfillment. It represents the fulfillment of the tonight. To be free of time is to be free of psychological need of past for your identity and future of your fulfillment. It represents most profound transformation of consciousness that you can imagine. In some rare cases, this shift is consciousness. It happens dramatically and radically, once and for all. When it does, it usually comes about through total surrender in the midst of intensifying suffering. Most people, however, have to work at it. When you had your first few glimpses at a timeless state of consciousness, you begin to move back and forth between dimensions and time and present. First, you become aware of the rarely your attention is truly in the now. But to know that you are not present is a great success. That knowing is presence, even if initially it only lasts for a couple of seconds of clock time before it lost again. And then with increasing frequency, you choose to have focus of your consciousness in the present rather than in the past or future. And whenever you realize that you have lost the now, you are able to stay in just not for a couple of seconds, but for longer periods as perceived from the external perspective of clock time. So before you are firmly established in the state of presence, which is to say before you are fully consciousness, you shift back and forth for a while between conscious and unconsciousness, between the state of presence and the state of mind identification. You lose the now and you return to it again and again. Eventually, presence becomes your predominant state. For most people, presence is experienced either neither at all or accidentally and briefly or rare occasions without being recognized, for it is what it is. Most humans alternate not between consciousness and unconscious, but only between different levels of unconsciousness.
Ordinary unconsciousness and deep unconsciousness. What do you mean by different levels of consciousness? As you probably know, in sleep, you constantly move between the phases of dreamless sleep and dream state. Similarly, in wakefulness, most people only shift between ordinary unconsciousness and deep unconsciousness. What I call ordinary unconsciousness means being identified with you, your thoughts, process, and emotions, your reactions, desires, and aversions. It is most people's normal states. In that state, you are run by the egoic mind, and you are unaware of being. It is the states not of acute pain of unhappy, but of an emotion's continuous low levels of unease, discontent, boredom, and nervousness, a kind of background static. You may not realize this because it is so much part of normal living, just as you are not aware of consciousness low background noises, such as the hum of an air conditioner until it stops. When it suddenly does stop, there is a sense of relief. Many people use alcohol, drugs, sex, food, or work, televisions, or even shopping as an aesthetics, and the unconsciousness attempts to remove the basic unease. When this happens, an activity that might be very unenjoyable if used in moderation because imbued with a compulsive or addictive quality, and all that it is ever achieved through it is extremely short-lived sentence relief. To unease the of ordinary unconsciousness turns into the pain deep unconsciousness, a state of more acute and more abusive suffering or unhappiness when things go wrong. When the ego is threatening or there is a major challenge, threat, or loss, real imagined in your life situations or conflict in a relationship. It is the intensified versions of ordinary unconsciousness, different from it not in kind but in degree. In ordinary unconsciousness, habitual resistance to or denial of what it is creates the unease and discontent that most people accept all normal livings. When this resistance becomes intensified through some challenges or threat to the ego, it brings up intense negativity such as anger, acute fear, aggressions, depressions, and so on. Deep unconsciousness often means that the pain body has been triggered and that you have become identified with it. Physical violence would be impossible without deep unconsciousness. It can also occur easily whenever and whatever a crowd of people or even the entire nation generates a negative collective energy field. The best indicators of your level of consciousness is how you deal with life's challenges when they come. Through those challenges, an already unconscious person tends to become more deeply unconsciousness. And a curious person is more intensely conscious. You can use a challenge to awaken you, or you can allow it to pull you into even deeper sleep. The dream of the ordinary unconsciousness then turns into a nightmare. If you cannot be present even in the normal circumstances, such as when you are sitting alone in a room, walking in the woods, or listening to someone, then you certainly won't be able to stay conscious when something goes wrong, or you are faced with a difficult people or situations and loss and threat of loss. You will be taken over by the reactions, which ultimately is always some forms of fears and pulled into a deep unconsciousness. So those challenges are your test. Some only the way in which you deal with them it will show you another way where you are at the, as far as you state of consciousness and concerned, not how long you can sit with your eyes closed or what visions you see. So it is essential to bring some consciousness into your life in ordinary situations. Well, when everything is going relatively smoothly. And this way, you grow in presence power. It generates an energy filled in you and around you in high vibrational frequency. No unconsciousness, no negativity, no discord or violence can enter that field, and you survive just as dark cannot survive with the presence of light. When you learn to be witness of your thoughts and emotions, which is the essential part of being present, I don't know. You may be surprised, though, when you first becomes aware of the backgrounds, statics of ordinary unconsciousness, and realize how rarely, if ever, you are truly at ease within yourself. On the level of your thinking, you will find a great deal of resistance in the forms of judgment, discontent, and mental projections away from the now. On the emotion level, there will be an undercurrent of unease, tensions, boredom, or nervousness. Both are aspects of the mind and its habitual resistance mode.
What are they seeking? Carl Jung tells of his books, a conversation he had with a Native American chief, who pointed out to him in that perception most white people have tense faces, staring eyes, and cruel demeanor. He said they are always seeking something. What are they seeking? The whites always want something. They're always uneasy and restless. We don't know what they want. We think they're mad. The undercurrent of constant unease and startle long before the rise of Western industrial civilization. Of course, but in Western civilization, which now covers almost entire globe, including most of the East, it manifests unprecedentedly acute form. It was already there at the time of Jesus, and it was 600 years before at the time of Buddha. And long before that, why are you always anxious? Jesus asked his disciples, can anxious thoughts add a single day to your life? And the Buddha taught that the root suffering is to be found in our constant wanting and craving. Resistance to noun collective dysfunction is intrinsically connected to the loss of awareness of being the forms of the basis of our dehumanized industrial civilizations. Freud, by the way, also recognized that existence of this undercurrent of unease and wrote about it in his Civilization and his Discontents. But he did not recognize that the truth root of the unease and failed to realize that the freedom from it is possible. This collective dysfunction has created a very unhappy and an extraordinary violent civilization that has become a threat not only to itself but also to all the life on the planet, dissolving ordinary unconsciousness. So how can we be free from this affliction? Make it conscious. Observe many ways in which unease is discontent. Intention arise within you through unnecessary judgment, resistance to what is, and the denial of the noun. Anything unconscious dissolves when you shine the light conscious on it. Once you know how to dissolve an ordinary unconsciousness, the light of your presence will shine brightly, and it will be much easier to deal with deep unconscious whenever you feel its gravitational pull. And then, however, ordinary unconscious may not be easy to detect initially because it's so normal, making it a habit to monitor your mental emotional state through self-observation. Um, am I at ease at the moment? It is a good question to ask about ask yourself frequently, or you could ask what's going on inside me at the moment. Be at least as interested in what goes on inside you as what happens outside. If you get the inside right, the the outside will fall into place. Primarily reality is within, secondary reality without. But don't answer these questions immediately. Direct your attention inward. Have a look inside yourself. What kind of thoughts is your mind producing? What do you feel? Direct your attention onto the body. Is there any tension? Once you detect that there is a low level of unease, the background static, see that in a way that avoiding, resisting, denying light. Denying light by denying the now. There are many ways in which people unconsciously resist the present moment. I will give you a few examples, but practice your power of self-observation, of monitoring your inner state will become sharpened.
Where this kind of a word yet. Freedom from unhappiness. Do you resist? Do you resent doing what you are doing? It may be your job, or maybe I have agreed to do something and are doing it, but part of you resent and resists it. Are you carrying unspoken resentments toward a person close to you? Do you realize that the energy that you thus animate is so harmful in its effect that you are in fact contaminating yourself as well as those grounded in you? Have a good look inside. Is there even a slightest trace of resentment, unwillingness? If there is, observe it both and mental and emotions levels. What thoughts is your mind creating around the situation? Then look around the emotion. Then look, then look at the emotions, which is bodily reactions of these thoughts. Feel like emotions. Does it feel pleasant or unpleasant? It is an energy that you would actually choose to have inside you. Do you have a choice? Maybe you are being taken advantage of. Maybe an activity you are engaging in is hideous. Maybe someone close to you is dishonest. Irritating or unconscious, but all this is irrelevant. Irrelevant. Whether your thoughts and emotions about the situations are justified or not makes no difference. The fact is that you are resisting what is. You are making this present moment into an enemy. You are creating unhappiness, conflicts between the inner and the outer. Your unhappiness is polluting not only your own inner being and those around you. Where do you go?
There we go, get it. I'll continue. It's not fun. Where? By your laptop.
You are creating unhappiness, conflicts between the inner and the outer you. Your unhappiness is polluting not only your own inner being and those around you, but also the collective humans' psyche, of which you are an inseparable part. The pollutions of the planet is the only and outward reflections of the inner pollutions, millions of unconscious individuals not taking responsibility for their inner space. Either stop doing what you are doing, speak to the person's concerns, and express fully what you feel, or drop the negativity that your mind has created around this situation, and that serves no purposes whatsoever expected to strengthening its false sense of self. Recognizing its fatalities is important. Negativities is never an optimum way of dealing with any situation. In fact, in most cases, it keeps you stuck in it, blocking your real change. Anything that is done with negative energy will become contaminated by it, and entirely gives rise to more pain, more unhappiness. Furthermore, any negative inner state is contagious. Unhappiness spreads more easily than a physical disease. Through the law of resonance, it triggers the feeds latent negativities and others unless they are immune. That is highly conscious. Are you polluting the world or cleaning it up, cleaning the mess? You are responsible for the inner space. Nobody else is. Just as you are responsible for the planet. As women, so without. If humans clear inner pollutions, then they will also keys. They will also keys to create outer pollution.
How can we drop negativity as you suggest? By dropping it, how can you drop a piece of hot coal that you are holding in your hand? How do you drop some heavy and useless baggage that you are carrying? By recognizing that you don't want to suffer the pain or carry the burden of anymore and letting it go of it. Deep unconscious, such as pain in the body or deep pain, such as loss of a loved one, usually needs to transmute it through acceptance, combined with the light of your presence, your sustained attention. Many patterns in ordinary unconscious, on the other hand, can simply be dropped once you know that you don't want them and don't need them anymore. Once you realize that you have a choice, that you are just a bundle of conditioned reflexes, all that is implies that you are able to access the power of now. Without it, you have no choice. If you call some emotions negative, aren't you creating a mental polarity of good and bad? As you explained earlier, no. The polarity was created at an earlier stage when your mind judged the present moment as bad. This judgment can create a negative emotion. But if you call some emotions negative, are you really saying that they shouldn't be there? That it's not okay to have these emotions? My understanding is that when we should give ourselves permission to have what feelings come up, when our feelings are really feeling in the up, rather than judge them as bad or saying we shouldn't have them, it's okay to feel resentful. It's okay to be angry, irritated, moody, or whatever. Otherwise, we get into repression, inner conflict, or denial. Everything is okay as it is. Of course, once a mind pattern or emotion or a reaction is there, you accept it. You were not conscious enough to have a choice in the matter. That's not a judgment. Just a fact. If you had a choice or realize that you have no choice, or you do have a choice, would you choose suffering or joy? Easy or uneasy? Peace or conflict? Hiding yourself from your true self, especially under another karmic connection. Would you choose a thought or feeling that cuts you off from your natural state of well-being? The joy of life within Any such feeling I call negative, which simply means bad. Not in the sense that you shouldn't have done that, but just plain factual bad. Like feeling sick in the stomach. How is it possible that humans killed in excess of 100 million fellow humans in 20th century alone? Humans inflicting pain of magnitude of one or the other beyond anything that you can imagine. And that not taking into account by mental, emotional, and physical violence. The torture, pain, and cruelty they continue to inflict on each other, as well as on the other sentient beings on a daily basis. Do they act in this way because they are in touch with their natural state? The joy or life within, of course, is not only people who are deeply negative state, who feel very bad indeed, would create such a reality as a reflection of how they feel. Now they are engaged in destroying nature and the planet sustains them. Unbelievable, but true, humans are dangerously sane and very sick species. That's not a judgment, in fact, it's a fact. It is a fact that sanity is there, underneath the madness. Healing and redemption are available right now.
Yes. Gosh. Coming back specifically to what you said, it is certainly true that when accepted resentment, moodiness, anger, and so on, you are no longer forced to act them out blindly, and you are less likely to project them into others. But I wonder if you are not deceiving yourself. When you have to practicing acceptance for a while, as you have, there comes a point when you need to go to the next stage, or where those negative emotions are not created anymore. If you don't, your acceptance just becomes a mental label that allows your ego to continue to indulge in unhappiness and so strengthen a sense of separations from other people, your surroundings, your here and now. As you know, separations is the basis of the ego's sense of identity. True acceptance would transmute those feelings at once. And if you really knew deeply that everything is okay, as you put it, and which of course it is true, then would you have those negative feelings in the first place without judgment, without resistance, and to what is, and they would not arise. You have an idea in your mind that everything is okay, but deep down you don't really believe it, and so the old mental emotions patterns of resistance are still in place. That's what makes you feel bad. Are you defending your rights to be unconscious, your rights to suffer? Don't worry, nobody is going to take that away from you. Once you realize that certain kind of food makes you sick, will you carry on eating that food and keeping asserting that it's okay to be sick? Whatever you are, be there totally. Can you give some more examples of ordinary unconsciousness? See if you can catch yourself complaining. Do you complain? Yes. In either speech or thoughts about a situation you find yourself in, what other people do or say, your surroundings, your life situations, even the weather. To complain is always non acceptance of what it is. It invariably carries an unconsciousness negative charge. When you complain, you make yourself into a victim. When you speak out, you are in your power. So change the situation by taking actions or by speaking out if necessary, or possible leave the situation or accept it. All else is madness. Ordinary unconsciousness is always linked in some ways with denial of the now. The now, of course, also implies the here. Are you resisting your here and now? Some people would always rather be somewhere else. Their here is never good enough. Through self-observations, find out that is the case of your life, case in your life. Whatever you are, be there totally. If you find your here and now intolerable and it makes you unhappy, you have three options: remove yourself from the situation, change it, or accept it totally. If you want to take responsibility for your life, you must choose one of those three options and you must choose now. Then accept the consequences. No excuse, no negativity, no physical pollutions. Keep your inner space clear. If you take actions, leaving the or changing your situation, drop the negative first. If all, if at all possible, actions arising out of insights into what it is inquire is more effective than actions arising out of negativity.
Any action is often better than no action, especially if you have been stuck in stagnancy for your whole life in an unhappy situation for a long time. Example, if it is a mistake, at least you learn something, especially from a karmic connection that you've been stuck in stagnancy for a while due to unresolved issues and lessons, in which case it's no longer a mistake. If you remain stuck, you learn nothing. Is fear preventing you from taking action? All this right here.
Yes.
Acknowledging the fear, watch it, take your attention into it, be fully present with it. Doing so cuts the link between the fear and your thinking. Ego. Don't let fear rise up in your mind. Use the power of the now. Fear cannot prevail against it. If there is truly nothing that you could do to change your here and now, you can't remove yourself from the situation, especially from your karmic connection. Stuck in stagnancy in a third party condition. Stuck in regret, stuck in stagnancy, stuck in the same cycle situation. Then accept you are here and totally dropping all of your inner resistance. The false, unhappy self that loves feeling miserable, resentful, or sorry for itself can no longer be survived. This is called surrender. Surrender to the connection. Once you surrender to the connection, and then you'll be more free and happy in your life and know who you really are and feel your value. Once you feel your value, then you'll know who you become and who your true nature and true place where you lie in your family. There is a great strength in it. Only a surrendered person has a spiritual power. Through surrender, you'll be free internally of the situation and getting rid of your toxic patterns and your toxic behaviors. You may then find the situation changed without any effort in part of any case when you are free. Or else something you should doing but are not doing, get it up, do it now. So learning how to get rid of those toxic situations, toxic patterns, and also preventing stagnancy and getting rid of those, learning the lessons from your karmic partner and learning how to get rid of the toxicity. So alternatively, completely accept your inactivity, laziness, or passivity at the moment. If it's at your choice, go into it fully. Enjoy it. Be as lazy and active as you can. Enjoy the laziness. But laziness will get you nowhere. When you become lazy, then you'll be stuck in your life circle round and around forever. If you go into it fully consciously, you'll be soon come out of it. You could do it. You are stronger. Fight your ego. Surrender to the connection. Or maybe you won't. Either way, there is no inner conflict. It's all in your mind. It's all your ego. It's about codependency. When you're codependent in a situation, then you can't break free from that karmic connection. There's no inner conflict, no resistance, no negativity. Just when you learn how to fight the connection, you'll learn how to get rid of your toxic karmic behaviors, and you'll learn how to break free from it, and you'll be able to learn from your lessons and see where your soul aligns with your true purpose. Okay, that's the first half of chapter 4. We'll go back to chapter 4 tomorrow or later, and we'll start on chapter 5. Okay, thank you. Have a good one. Bye-bye.